A 14th resident has died at that nursing home near Penrith. Now changes are finally being made. Tonight, stricter testing of staff as the outbreak inside Newmarch House escalates. Shocking allegations of a Ruby Princess cover-up, a crew member still fighting for life in a Sydney hospital. Touchdown in Tamworth, the Warriors arrive at their new home base, but a sick team member is left behind. Horror on a suburban street the moment emergency crews arrive, finding a mother dead, her husband on the run. One driver's expensive decision shutting down the light rail as plans for a post-pandemic Opal overhaul are revealed. And high-end cuisine in your kitchen behind the scenes as a top chef delivers in time for Mother's Day.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Mark Ferguson.
Good evening. It's been plagued with coronavirus for 3 weeks, but only now, after a 14th resident died, is Newmarch House set to bring in a tough new testing regime. Staff at the nursing home will be tested daily starting tomorrow. As questions grow about how the latest victim contracted the virus, she had earlier returned 2 negative results and had not left her room.
Anne Fay, the latest resident from Newmarch House to succumb to coronavirus, rushed from the Caddens home to Nepean Hospital, but it was too late. She was 76.
It's tough, very tough. There's no words, nothing that anybody can say that will satisfy you.
In a statement today, the Fay family saying, "It all happened so fast, we are broken." Their mother and grandmother had tested negative until last Wednesday.
She has not been out of that room of isolation.
The spread inside still uncontained. Another 2 staff have tested positive. One, though, had been in quarantine after an earlier exposure. The government brushing off concerns the virus is spreading through the air conditioning.
No, that's not what we're thinking. This disease is most likely spread through the contact, the contact precautions, droplets, contamination of surfaces.
I know New South Wales Health and the facility managers are looking at whether they might take some additional steps to take some of the people off site.
3 weeks after the outbreak, new testing measures will be brought in.
There will now be a daily testing regime of every staff member walking into that facility. Never happened, as I understand it, at any aged care facility anywhere.
An infection control specialist is also being provided to ensure staff are correctly using personal protective equipment.
And Cameron Price is outside Newmarch House for us tonight. Cameron, they're starting to relocate some residents to a different part of the facility.
Yeah, Mark, that's right. An operation underway to move healthy residents away from those that have tested positive. That should happen in the next 24 to 48 hours, but I'm told rooms and corridors will need to be sanitised before that transfer. I can also confirm a second resident has chosen to leave here and go into quarantine at Nepean Hospital. Mark?
OK, Cameron Price, thank you. A crew member was put into an induced coma on board the Ruby Princess after suffering respiratory failure from COVID-19 just days after passengers disembarked. As the man still fights for life, the state government is being accused of a cover-up.
On board the Ruby Princess, a crew member fights for life, sedated and on a ventilator. 72 hours pass before he finally makes land.
They thought that no one was watching, and now we've seen a cover-up, of course, in regard to the treatment of passengers and crew.
At the time, New South Wales Health said that he was thought to have COVID-19, while the company described acute respiratory symptoms. But documents from the Civil and Administrative Tribunal reveal the 38-year-old crew member was in a coma and clinging to life. He suffered severe respiratory failure, was intubated and sedated on board the ship. It took 3 days for him to be taken to hospital. The breathing tube burst last week, requiring an emergency replacement, placing him and intubators at significant risk. A Princess spokesman said he received professional care at all times, adding there was no delay in the crew member's transfer to hospital, and we received full assistance in this from New South Wales Health and the New South Wales Ambulance Service.
When this gentleman obviously fell ill, the welfare of the crew was not a priority for government.
A New South Wales Health spokesman said due to legal advice, we're not commenting. Doctors had to seek an order from the tribunal last week to perform a tracheostomy. They were unable to locate the man's wife, who lives in a remote village overseas. They still hope the man will recover, but he'll be critically weak for some time. Taylor Auerbach, 7 News.
The New Zealand Warriors have just touched down in Tamworth on what has proved to be a rocky day. Chief League reporter Michelle Bishop is at the airport there. Michelle, they've been cleared to enter the country but have arrived 2 players down.
Good evening, Mark. Yes, they have arrived, and every player and staff member that got off that plane was heavily masked. They're certainly not taking any chances. They'll make their way through customs, which should take around an hour. But as you say, 2 players were missing. Hooker Nathaniel Roach, he woke up this morning in New Zealand, of course, with flu-like symptoms. The Warriors acted quickly following protocol. They told him he had to stay home. I have to stress he has had no contact with any team members. The other player, winger David Fusatua, he is expected to arrive in Australia later in the week. He's been granted special permission to stay at home for a little longer for family reasons.
This is the moment NRL fans have been waiting for. The New Zealand Warriors touching down in Australia under tight security at Tamworth Airport. While Tamworth has rolled out the welcome mat, the presence of Border Force at the airport was a reminder of just how serious this all is. Tears flowed this morning as players farewelled their families in Auckland, but 2 stars failed to make the trip. Hooker Nathaniel Roach became the first victim of the new biosecurity protocols when he woke up with flu-like symptoms.
New Zealand has hardly any cases. I'd be very surprised if it's positive given what's happening in New Zealand at the moment.
Centre David Fusatua delayed his arrival for personal reasons. The players now quarantined for 14 days, only leaving their hotel to train.
7 News has been given exclusive access to the gym here where the Warriors will train while in isolation. They'll adhere to some strict protocols, which means they can only train in small groups of 10, including staff. There'll also be no tackling and no wrestling.
This is the 40-page document of biosecurity procedures that clubs and players will spend tomorrow familiarising themselves with. It's safe to say their lives are about to change in a very big way.
It's a 40-page document and it basically re-engineers, their day-to-day life and how they operate from the time they wake up to the time that they come home and put themselves to bed.
In Tamworth, Michelle Bishop, 7 News.
4.3 million Australians have now downloaded the COVID Safe app, exceeding federal government expectations. While many more are encouraged to follow, experts say the 40% target is no longer required for restrictions to ease this week. Community sport likely to be the first activity to return.
11-year-old Georgia Elson is feeling head over heels about the prospect of getting back to sport.
Absolutely amazing. It gets away from my brothers.
Mum Janice will be happy too.
Very important for mental health, actually.
A cautious return to community sport is now likely to begin as soon as Monday next week.
Clearly this has to be staged. So there will be a stage 1 and there will be a stage 2.
Stages based on principles set by the Australian Institute of Sport, the first 2 allowing most solo sports, athletics, swimming and strength training, and training and playing most ball sports, but with no contact. The Chief Medical Officer thinks hygiene changes to some traditional sporting practices should be permanent.
I don't think saliva to shining cricket balls is a good thing at all.
4.2 million Australians have now downloaded the COVID Safe app, but it seems falling short of the 40% target of 6 million won't stop that first phase of easing going ahead. National Cabinet is likely to approve the staged return of sport at its meeting on Friday.
But the more confidence they have, the more bold they might be.
As new figures show, 700,000 businesses approved for the JobKeeper payments covering 4.4 million workers, 1.6 million fewer than the 6 million projected, running $35 billion below the $130 billion budget. The sectors with the highest demand for the job subsidies: professional, science and technical services, construction, retail and hospitality, with demand likely to slow as the restrictions are turned on their head. Mark Riley, 7 News.
For the most severe cases of COVID-19, the odds of recovery have not been good, but a new treatment is now giving those patients a fighting chance. We've gone behind the scenes with Australian researchers at the forefront of a global effort to save lives.
As
As the world's brightest minds race to find a treatment for COVID-19, Australian researchers are now leading the way.
It potentially is an important breakthrough. It's still only in very early phase.
The groundbreaking trial was carried out in New York, spearheaded by the Victor Chang Cardiac Research Institute, and uses mesenchymal stem cells to treat COVID patients.
One of the problems with COVID-19 is a very significant immune response, and these stem cells appear to be able to dampen that immune response to help patients recover.
The results were staggering.
This method has been used in about 12 patients in New York City, and 9 of them, 75%, were able to successfully come off ventilators.
Every academic center, every research center needs to pull together to work on this.
Dr. George Finane is the Chief of Cardiology at NYU Langone Hospital. He contracted COVID-19 not from a patient, but community transmission.
It's not the flu like everybody thinks it might be.
Now he's recovered and treating patients with the virus.
These research trials are immensely important, and they will make the difference in the future.
The next phase is to conduct trials in Australia. That will be facilitated by the Victor Chang Institute along with St Vincent's Hospital and 2 other hospitals in Victoria. It's hoped the treatment will reduce the fatality rate of those on ventilators.
It's definitely needed for those people that are the sickest that are on the vent. I think it's got some very, very interesting possibilities.
Samantha Brett, 7 News.
Construction of more than 3,000 new homes has been fast-tracked to help stimulate the economy, part of a $22 billion program to provide low-cost housing. The state government has also confirmed on-site property inspections and auctions will resume next weekend.
As our population grows, so too does the need for more land to build the homes of the future. This is how they will look in a post-pandemic world. 3,300 new apartments, a school and Town Plaza shopping centre.
And you won't be able to tell who is owning and who is renting and who is in social housing. This is the way of the future.
Ivanhoe Estate, near the Metro line at Macquarie Park, has been fast-tracked, the first project in the government's $22 billion Communities program.
And it will take us through and supercharge us through and out of this COVID situation.
Construction begins in October and will inject more than $300 million into the economy, creating nearly 600 jobs. This development will feature nearly 1,000 social housing units, with another 400 set aside for affordable housing and seniors. It's part of a much larger program to build 23,500 social and affordable homes, plus 40,000 private homes over the next decade. And from next weekend, real estate agents will resume on-site inspections and auctions.
As long as we can make sure that open homes can continue and inspections can take place in a way that's safe, we should.
Agents will have to adhere to strict social distancing and limit numbers inside properties. Brian Seymour, 7 News.
It's been revealed the British government drew up plans to announce Boris Johnson's death as he lay in intensive care. He's given a newspaper interview describing the touch-and-go moment as a new COVID trial gets underway in the UK.
A room full of COVID-19 survivors giving blood and much more. Jo's whole family fell sick with coronavirus, including her husband.
It was a very frightening experience. So for me, when the opportunity to do this came along, it was a no-brainer.
She's one of 30 people in Birmingham giving blood, but not normally. Special machines are extracting the plasma to be given to those critically ill with coronavirus. It's hoped those precious antibodies in the donor plasma will help stop the virus invading a sick patient's cells after a transfusion. A small Chinese study suggests it might work.
When the call came through yesterday asking whether I wanted to give some plasma, it was an easy option, just yes, anything to do to help.
If the trial's successful, 5,000 people a week in the UK could receive the treatment. Proven treatments using either plasma or already available drugs is seen by doctors here as a fast track to lifting lockdowns as the world waits for a vaccine that works. Boris Johnson has revealed just how close he came to succumbing to COVID-19 in a newspaper interview, saying, "I was not in a particularly brilliant shape and I was aware there were contingency plans in place," as Number 10 considered how to announce the Prime Minister's death, described as a death of Stalin-style scenario. His new baby, cradled by fiancée Carrie, has been named Wilfred Laurie Nicholas, after the two doctors named Nick, who saved Boris Johnson's life. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
Flight Centre has backflipped on a controversial fee that was being charged on cancelled trips. It comes after weeks of public pressure as customers face lengthy delays getting their money back.
Adam Gleeser couldn't believe it when Flight Centre charged him $600 to refund his $600 deposit for a cancelled cruise.
How anyone could actually put that offer out there, it just all seemed crazy.
That led him to start a Facebook group against the processing fee.
We thought that we would look into a class action suit against the Flight Centre company.
Australia's consumer watchdog fielded thousands of complaints and stepped in. Flight Centre finally waiving its cancellation fees.
A lot of people were out of pocket a lot of money, so not only have they stopped the cancellation fee going forward, but they're going to refund people.
Backdated to March 13.
We're acting in the best interests of our customers at all times, and we're here to make sure we want to get the money back for you, but most important, we want to be able to get you travelling again.
Since the pandemic shut down travel, Flight Centre staff have been inundated with a flood of cancellations. They've been threatened and abused by customers, frustrated with extra charges and lengthy delays. Patience needed as the company works through 3 years' worth of cancellations in 12 weeks.
The length of time that the money takes to come back from our suppliers can be anything from 12 weeks up to 6 months in some cases.
More delays for a grounded travel industry. Elliot Chipper, 7 News.
Opal card pricing is set for a major overhaul after the corona crisis to get more people using public transport during off-peak times. The state government has been forced to rule out a proposed 5% fare increase, but the cost for many commuters is still expected to rise.
Sydney's modern-day ghost platforms haunted by a virus, scaring passengers away. Bus stops empty too, but it's feared trains and buses will soon be more packed than ever.
Once we get back into full swing, I'm expecting to see a lot more people on the transport network.
The Transport Minister's planning for a surge in passengers post-coronavirus, forced to give up their cars due to financial stress.
The last thing they need is the most affordable way of getting around being more expensive.
But 7 News can reveal some commuters could be forced to pay more. The government's considering increasing Opal card fares from July 1.
I think it's very poor timing.
I think they should hold off a bit. The independent pricing regulators recommended a 5% hike each year for 4 years.
The Minister needs to throw this report in the bin. A 20% increase for Sydney-siders for their transport fares is just too much.
It would add on average 30 cents a trip in the first year, approximately $3 a week, more than $140 a year for people travelling to and from work full-time.
Rest assured, we'll be keeping it affordable for families at this tough time.
The full increase has been ruled out. What the government is planning instead is giving people more incentive to travel at off-peak times. In other words, making public transport cheaper for some and more expensive for others. The current off-peak discount is 30%.
We might need to even increase that more so, given the need for as much distancing as we can possibly deliver.
A final decision is expected next month. Alex Hart, 7 News.
Despite the shutdown, public transport is still running, a lesson learnt the hard way by the driver of this four-wheel drive. He left it parked on George Street in the CBD, blocking the light rail for around 30 minutes. The vehicle was towed, the driver fined for parking in a tram zone, all up costing more than $400. Sally Bowery is here now, and Sal, some warmer weather returned today.
It sure did, Mark. It was a pleasant one across the city with clear skies and temperatures on the rise this week. Big swells are pushing along the New South Wales coast, though, thanks to the same low that delivered the burst of wintry weather this week. This morning at Bondi, the surf was clean with offshore winds. Tomorrow, it's forecast to be powerful, potentially dangerous as that swell turns more south-southeast in direction. Looking at our skies, though, on a high will keep the weather fairly rain-free this week. There will be a big difference in temperatures too. Things really starting to warm up, as you can see from this map. Temperatures will be reaching the mid to high 20s. That's that area sort of in the yellow that you can see on the map. Right now, though, it's still a very mild 13 degrees at Liverpool. I'll have the 7-day forecast a little later, Mark.
We'll see you then, Sally. Thank you. The truck driver who hit and killed 4 police officers has broken his silence. His message is next as a fallen police officer is escorted home to Newcastle. First Britain, now America. Is there a link between coronavirus and a rare disease in children? The Cambridge cold call, what Kate said to a sleepless new mum. Later, direct from Matt Moran to you, how you can still order off the menu from some of Sydney's best restaurants. And in sport, Eels legend Ray Price opens up about his family cancer battle.
7 News, brought to you by Business Australia.
If you're in business in Australia, right now you're facing one of your toughest challenges. It's not business as usual, and it's hard to know where to turn. Business Australia can help you manage your responsibilities to your employees, look after their health and well-being, and assist with strategies to maintain and sustain your business. We've been helping Australian businesses through thick and thin for 194 years, and we're here for you now. For free advice and support, visit businessaustralia.com.
Made a huge mistake, and I've regretted it ever since.
You slept with my brother. You covered it up for 20-odd years, and my daughter might be his. I'll always be your dad, and you'll always be my daughter, no matter what.
I can't do it. What if he's not my dad?
Home and Away, this week at 7 on 7.
If you're a small business, you've probably got a lot more questions than answers right now, which is why there's never been a more important time to speak to a professional accountant. They're specifically trained to help with business planning and cash flow management strategies tailored to support your business through these challenging times. They can even lend a hand with applications for government support to make sure you get the help your business needs. For further support and assistance, contact a professional accountant today.
There's only one thing to look for. Choose a super fund with this symbol.
We're all in this together.
Guess who's on the telly?
Mummy! Hi, Mummy. Hi, sweetheart.
Proudly fueling Australian hockey fans, big and small. Sultana brand. Full-on days start with full-on fibre.
And Wilbur invents a teleportation device, but a fly accidentally gets into it and he mutates into a hideous half-man, half-fly.
No, that's the science fiction horror film, The Fly, with Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Yes, we're not doing that.
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yes, Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
Goldblum. Blum.
What if I get coronavirus?
How do I do my rehab now?
Why is it so hard to get out of bed? COVID-19 is impacting us all differently, which is why we've introduced Medibank COVID-19 Health Assist. With direct access to hundreds of healthcare experts, eligible members can receive health advice and support from their homes at no extra cost. Visit medibank.com.au to see how we're providing better support for our members.
Hello, this is Mark Watney. I did not die. Surprise.
Matt Damon in the movie event, The Martian, tonight on 7.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
Welcome back. The body of policeman Constable Glenn Humphreys has been brought home in a moving 1,000-kilometre procession from Victoria. His flag-draped coffin arrived in Newcastle for a brief but emotional service for the officer and his family.
Because of their love, the grief is very, very deep. And we are unable to understand the things that have happened.
Constable Humphreys was one of 4 officers hit and killed by a truck after they pulled over a speeding Porsche in Melbourne. The truck driver's broken his silence, saying he's genuinely sorry and saddened. He's been charged and will return to court in October. It was first seen in Britain. Now American doctors are questioning a link between coronavirus and Kawasaki disease in children. It's normally a rare condition, but the World Health Organization is now urgently investigating almost 100 reported cases in 6 countries.
12 years old, intubated and fighting for every breath.
Her lips were blue and her arms were cold. Her body was going into shock.
Little Juliet Daly was airlifted to a Louisiana hospital after complaining of stomach pains. There, she tested positive for coronavirus.
Her heart rate started dropping even more. It went from 40 to 20 to 0. And they called a code. And they did 2 minutes of CPR.
Doctors believe Juliet suffered a rare complication from COVID-19.
This new shock syndrome is really a very small tip of a larger iceberg.
British doctors first raised the alarm last week. Now paediatricians in the US are reporting a small number of cases where COVID-positive children are developing symptoms resembling Kawasaki disease, a rare blood vessel disorder.
Right now we're still trying to learn as we go.
America's crippling death toll, mostly adults, is clear. In New York, another 299 deaths in 24 hours.
That number has remained obnoxiously and terrifyingly high.
Here in Los Angeles, the focus is on widespread testing to get a clearer picture of the crisis. The city's the first to offer them for free. The wait today, over 2 hours. But protesters refuse to wait any longer for California to reopen. Back again, this time on closed beaches. Orders to stay at home ignored. In Los Angeles, Ashley Mullaney, 7 News.
A powerful earthquake has rocked Puerto Rico, causing widespread damage. The 5.4 magnitude quake struck off the southern coast, sparking panic during an evening online prayer. The priest continued on. The battered island still has people homeless from earlier earthquakes and Hurricane Maria. When you can't go to the club, you make a new one. That's what's happening here in Germany, where hundreds of people created a disco safely spaced out in their cars. It was the brainchild of a nightclub owner whose business was stopped in its tracks by the pandemic. Being a brand new mum right now is tough enough. Add to that a surprise drop-in from the Duchess of Cambridge, dialing up for a virtual visit.
Oh, congratulations. And when did you have him?
Last night at 10 p.m.
My goodness. You must be exhausted.
Correct. Rebecca Atwood admits she'd had 2 hours sleep when the call came in, saying it was surreal. The video was released to raise awareness about mental health issues facing new parents. A Western Sydney mother is dead, her husband charged with murder. Next, police descend on a quiet street on the very day a new domestic violence campaign launches. Attack withdrawn, the school stoush that has the federal minister admitting he overstepped the mark. A doctor in the palm of your hand. The incredible spike in telehealth has the GP visit changed forever. And kilometres of track torn up where the old Carlingford line is going next.
The dream family.
We live in our house with our 3 kids.
About to set foot in their dream home.
All right, should we go in, guys?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Oh!
The family-sized whole house reveal. Wait till you see what they're seeing. The heartwarming transformation.
You okay?
It's so beautiful.
The reveals coming up next on 7.
I'm Stephanie Alexander, and now that we're all at home, we're going to do lots of cooking. I know some of you are cooking for a family, and I am cooking just for one. But I'm going today to make one of my favourite dishes, which is ratatouille, and it makes a lot. So it's ideal because I can have some for now and then I can freeze some in small containers for later on. So I'm going to show you how I prepare the tomatoes. These three have been dipped in boiling water for about a minute and stripped of their skin. Give them a squeeze to get out most of the seeds. Just a rough chop. You don't have to be particularly precise because these tomatoes are just going to melt into the sauce. So you want to cut these peppers into pieces about 3 centimetres square and then move on to onion and garlic. I'm going to cut my eggplant. They are inclined to be a bit slippery. So I recommend slicing an eggplant with a serrated knife. I'm going to move straight on to chopping the zucchini into thickish rounds. As you can see, the ratatouille is a very colourful, exciting dish. Okay, my olive oil in the pan, and straight away I'm putting in the onion and the garlic. My onions have softened, in go the peppers. And I'm also going to add 2 bay leaves from the garden and a few pieces of rosemary. And then I'm going to lower the heat and cover the pot for a good 5 minutes. Okay, now's the moment to add the eggplant. So it's all going in. And now I'm going to add the chopped tomato, sea salt, freshly ground black pepper, and I'm now going to transfer the pot to the oven, which is on at 180 degrees for about 40 minutes. So the ratatouille has been cooking for quite some time. I'm now going to add the zucchini. The zucchini going in. I'm going to add a tiny little sliver of olive oil. And then the lid's going back on, and I'm going to put it back in the oven for another 20 minutes. Here we go, the moment of truth. Look at that. Now, of course, you could just serve it like this with a leg of lamb, or you can divide it up into small portions, which is what I usually do, so I have some for another day. It's a great time to get your kids interested in cooking with you and being interested in food generally. To find out more, go to the Stephanie Alexander Kitchen Garden Foundation website, and for this recipe, go to coles.com.au.
Welcome back. A 69-year-old man has been charged with murder after police discovered his wife's body in the garage of their home in Sydney's West. Detectives accuse him of fleeing the scene, leaving behind a street in shock and 3 daughters mourning their mother.
An emergency response in a suburban Woodcroft street. Inside this home, the body of 69-year-old mother of 3, Erlinda Songkwan, murdered, police say, at the hands of husband Ingracio. Neighbours in shock.
I was deeply saddened and shocked. She is so nice. She's exceptionally nice. I think best human being.
When police arrived, Ingracio wasn't there. Police allege he'd driven to Blacktown Station and hopped on a train. Their helicopter trucked the 73-year-old to Richmond Station, where he was met by police, arrested and charged with murder.
I've never heard any shouting from any neighbour. Very, very quiet street.
Erlinda's tragic death coincides with a new government domestic violence awareness campaign called Help Is Here. It's a response to an 11% surge in domestic abuse and threats compared to this time last year.
Even in crisis, there's no place for abuse or domestic violence.
We just want to make sure that we're absolutely prepared that anybody who feels unsafe in their home is able to have access to the services to support them.
Ingracio Songkwan has been denied bail and faces life behind bars. His daughters facing life without their mother. Tom Saker, 7 News.
The Federal Education Minister has withdrawn his attack directed at Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews today. Dan Tehan had claimed the state's stance on reopening schools was a failure of leadership, with the Premier jeopardising the national consensus. Mr Tehan now says he was expressing personal frustration but overstepped the mark and withdrew the comments. 3 men have been charged following coordinated raids across the state, accused of importing childlike sex dolls from Asia. Officers from Federal Police, Border Force and New South Wales Police raided the homes across 2 days. They say there is no connection between the 3 men. Legislation passed last year makes possession of such dolls punishable by 15 years in jail, aimed at combating child abuse offences. Online health services are reporting a huge jump in consultations, with some platforms recording a 950% increase. However, doctors still believe face-to-face consultations will remain the priority.
We can't replace a face-to-face GP. When a person comes into my room and I put my hands on their stomach and I can feel what's going on, that's really different.
Telehealth consultations can now be bulk billed. A major rail recycling operation is underway, ripping up old tracks, wires and sleepers to use in Parramatta's light rail project. Tonight we have exclusive details on how they'll do it and some historic items found along the way.
The old T6 Carlingford line from Parramatta being torn up but not thrown out. Work is underway to recycle large parts of the track for use in the new Parramatta Light Rail project.
We're seeing around 30% of the sleepers, the overhead lines, the rail being recycled.
1.3 kilometres of track and overhead wires, along with 13,650 sleepers, will be saved, resized and then relaid along the new route, making up around a third of the total track required for the new 12-kilometre route.
It's a good way to do it. It's good for the environment.
Among the items found during demolition, signal signs and indicator boards dating back to the 1930s. But one thing that won't be saved, the Royal Oak Hotel.
A significant heritage hotel, historic piece of Parramatta.
Expected to be torn down this week.
What I will say to the Minister is that, you know, this is such a long way off this project, and I think if you're after a congratulations or a pat on the back, you're not going to get that from residents today.
Cameron Price, 7 News.
Retailers have been urged to get ready to reopen, but what will that look like? Supporting local business while staying safe. That's next. Parked in a warehouse for 40 years, how much one dusty car is now worth? Runaway rescue, what's behind this tricky mission to save Eleanor the koala?
And temperatures are set to soar this week. 7-day forecast soon.
Hello, Matt. I have been watching you.
I've lived in Broken Hill my whole life. Bloody flies. Born and bred and grown up in the country. I'm a Sparky in one of the local mines. Got my beautiful fiancée, Jess. Definitely the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's a bit of a running joke that I'm Don Bradman and about above me average with Jess.
You got to sort of make your own fun a bit out here in little old Brokers. A lot of family still in town, big friendship network. It's pretty laid back. Really got that community spirit.
I am Big Brother, and I've chosen you.
I gotta be me.
Welcome to my brand new house.
I hope I'm a pretty likeable guy.
Matt, it's not about being likeable. It's about doing whatever I say.
Got to keep my wits about myself. Some people conniving, backstabbing. Others will genuinely be on your side.
When the dust settles, will you be the last one standing?
It's a game. You've got to remember that. If someone's coming after my back, it's kill or be killed in my book.
That's the spirit.
I bring humour, wit, some smarts and some ADHD energy. Beautiful big head and a little touch of budgie smuggler action.
Let's hope you're ready for what I've got planned.
Big Brother, what are you playing at?
I am Big Brother. Who wins? You decide.
Hyundai's end of financial year sale is on. Get great value across our eye-catching range. Like the Hyundai i30 hatch with the confidence of a 7-year warranty. And end of financial year bonuses on selected SUVs, including the Hyundai Tucson. And 7-seat petrol V6 Hyundai Santa Fe. Hyundai's end of financial year sale. See it to believe it.
The game that makes the most millionaires is giving you 20 million more reasons to get super excited this Saturday. Lotto's $20 million Super Draw Saturday. Play now in-store at thelot.com or the Lot app.
A lot's changed over the last few months. For over 100 years, Allianz Australia has supported its customers through uncertainty and change. And we'll continue to ensure what matters most to you, because our support doesn't stop here.
New Special K Lower Sugar. Rise with us. Rise with protein for muscle. With less than 4 grams of sugar. Set goals, then kick them. Try new Special K Lower Sugar.
Want skincare from natural ingredients? Try Sukin from Chemist Warehouse. Rose, hip and avocado nourish the skin, leaving it looking smooth and healthy. Sukin's signature facial moisturiser is $5.47. Live, look, feel fabulous at Chemist Warehouse.
Hester is a super fund that supports people whose work helps others. Their stories inspire us to give them a stronger financial future and a better world to retire into. It's our way of saying thank you.
Can care be better at home?
Someone from Medibank mentioned that there's a chance I can do rehab at home.
I said, oh, how much extra is that going to cost?
And they said, no, you've got it in your hospital cover. It just was fantastic for me.
Upload's that way, OR's the other way. What do you want to do?
Upload. Anytime you need me, I'll be here for you.
In-app purchase required.
I'm not even supposed to be here.
Do you think I wanted to fall into the Grand Canyon?
I saw that video. You dabbed on the way down.
That's how you hit the lights.
Welcome back. A rare Mercedes has sold for a fortune after gathering dust in America for more than 40 years. The 1960 300 SL Roadster had been hidden away inside an Indiana warehouse. Its previous owner bought it in 1976 and stored it soon after, so it only had about 24,000 kilometres on the clock. It was marketed as one of the very last unrestored Roadsters of its kind, and it sold for $1.5 million. We're starting to see some retailers re-emerge, but they are opening their doors to a different world. For many, the future is uncertain. They are desperate to survive while juggling the safety of shoppers.
A ghost town Friday, bustling on Saturday.
It is lovely to see them begin to open.
Shoppers urged to support local business.
It is really important to make sure that you shop with those stores and those brands that, you know, have treated you well over the years, because ultimately they're the ones that employ in our local area and in our local economies.
Out of the pandemic storm with restrictions.
Our focus is maintaining and managing the social distancing requirements and ensuring that we are providing a safe and hygienic place for our customers and our retailers.
We're going to have to get used to shopping with the 1.5 metre rule. Retailers have told us that could be in place until a COVID-19 vaccine is released.
There's obviously a lot more click and collect, a lot more home delivery, a lot more online ordering, but we're also seeing a lot of our apparel, fashion, footwear retailers working out ways that they can serve their customers whilst observing the 1.5 metre social distancing.
That means most stores will have permanent floor distance markers. Checkout space is being increased. Not all will accept cash. Security will be very noticeable. Where needed, there will be wider aisles.
But these are new sneeze guards.
Here to stay at supermarkets for now. Restaurants are reinventing themselves.
We have leadership classes for our managers as well, so that we can better service our customer when we actually come back to normal trade.
Whatever normal turns out to be. Steve Titmus, 7 News.
It's tricky to pull off a rescue when your target doesn't want saving, but crews in Adelaide pushed ahead anyway. Eleanor the koala had been hit by a car and retreated up a tree. Teams with a cherry picker tried to coax her down, but crews on the ground struggled to get a good hold. They eventually had success. Eleanor has now been taken to a local animal hospital for treatment. Some of Sydney's top chefs have opened their menus just in time for Mother's Day. Still to come, the dining out experience without leaving the house. That is soon on 7 News. But now Mel is here with Sport, and Mel, the Warriors have finally touched down.
They have, Fergo, as you say, most of them, as we know, as the Rugby League spotlight moves to Tamworth tonight. We'll head back there for the very latest next in sport. Plus, a league legend opens up on his and his wife's cancer battle and also delivers a blunt message to NRL players. And our exclusive chat with Marnus Labuschagne, how the batting superstar's coping in isolation and his plans to come out of it an even better player.
Very occasionally, someone comes onto the stage and you think they are born to be a superstar.
Her voice will have the entire audience on their feet.
This is what the world has been waiting for.
Brand new Britain's Got Talent, Wednesday 7:30 on 7.
The Australian government is working hard to keep businesses in business and Australians in jobs. That's why we've introduced the JobKeeper payment. If you're a business severely impacted by the coronavirus, you'll receive a fortnightly payment of $1,500 for each eligible employee to cover their wages. For employees, it will allow millions of Australians to keep their job, including those who've been stood down. To find out more, visit australia.gov.au, authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
As this year continues to be a challenging one for all of us, NRMA Insurance remains dedicated to helping Australians. We've introduced a customer help program with a range of relief options to assist customers currently in need. If you're experiencing financial hardship, call us today to find out how we can tailor help options for you.
Forget about your worries and your strain.
It's time to relax.
I nap a lot.
Chill out. And let your hair down.
Let down your
There's a bit of Disney Plus in all of us.
It's LTV for me.
It's LTV for me.
More and more people are saying it's LTV for me, because the LTV T60 4x4 diesel is from just $27,490 drive away. And eligible businesses may be able to claim the government instant asset write-off. Hurry, offer ends May 31.
I just went and got some milk.
Hey, wait a sec. Let's try new white choc flavour.
Just like a white choc milkshake, only crunchy.
For making sense of a changing world. For understanding what's next. For the edge you need. The Australian. For the informed Australian.
1, 2, 3, 4. So clap it back. Hey, clap, clap. So clap it back. Hey, I'm getting on and you right back. 'Cause you're not gonna stand around living like that. So clap it back. Clap it, clap, clap. Alright, so clap it back. Hey,
Centrum provides multiple health benefits in just one tablet. Centrum, complete from A to Zinc.
Welcome back. Well, as you saw earlier, the Warriors are in Tamworth and about to check into the hotel that will be their home for the next 5 months or so. Chief League reporter Michelle Bishop is there and joins me now. Hello to you, Shell. It's a big step, but the hard work is only just beginning.
It certainly is, Mel. Good evening. They have touched down at Tamworth Airport and they've made their way through customs relatively quickly and they're en route here to Scully Park, which will be their base for the next 14 days. As you say, the work is just beginning. Tomorrow they will again be briefed on what's required to keep them safe. They had a bit of a scare this morning with hooker Nathaniel Roach. He was told to stay home after waking up with flu-like symptoms, but full credit to the Warriors for acting so quick. And winger David Fusatua is due to arrive later in the week. He's being delayed because of family reasons. But it all starts here tomorrow. The players have to get their head around that 40-page document with all the biosecurity measures. And as you say, this will be their home base here for the next 14 days. Mel.
Thank you, Shell. Looking forward to you keeping us posted throughout the week. Parramatta legend Ray Price has spoken to 7 News about the brutal double health blow he and Sandy, his wife of 20 years, are dealing with. They're both battling life-threatening melanomas at the same time, but remain positive and fearless.
He's one of the toughest players to ever lace on a boot, and Ray Price is using the same fearless approach he had on the field in his cancer battle.
If you're not positive going into things, you just yourself. So yeah, I knew it wasn't going to do anything to me.
Having already beaten bowel cancer, the Eels legend was diagnosed with melanoma before Christmas last year.
That would have been, quite an uncomfortable Christmas.
No, not really.
I think it was a bit scary.
Wife Sandy was already having chemotherapy for her own serious case of melanoma. Doctors say the chance of them both having the same cancer at the same time is 1,000,000 to 1, but defeat isn't in this pair's DNA.
We haven't written out a will. We don't want to jinx ourselves.
The diagnosis hasn't stopped Ray and Sandy from living life to the full, even in lockdown.
Last night we had hippie happy hour in our driveway. We dressed up as hippies. We just sit in our own driveway every Saturday night and have drinks and keep, of course, the distance.
The straight-talking Price has a blunt message to the misbehaving players who threaten to ruin the return of the season.
If the idiots continue to do what they're doing, it won't come back.
Michelle Bishop, 7 News.
AFL fans could be treated to footy right through the week when the competition resumes, and that's expected to be around mid-June. Sydney Swans legend Jude Bolton says the proposal changed after player backlash over proposed quarantine hubs, as well as the latest advice from the government.
Now we're seeing the border restrictions starting to ease. Yeah, we're looking at potentially that fly-in, fly-out model in the AFL. So whether they set up little centres that they can fly in and get the games done, but expect footy on most nights of the week, to be honest.
There's also talk of up to 40,000 socially distanced fans at the MCG on Grand Final Day, which looks set for October. Well, with his first national contract this week, Marnus Labuschagne should be Australian cricket's newest $1 million man. But uncertainty remains over pay and the future. It hasn't bothered our batting machine, who's used life in lockdown to build an even greater appetite for runs.
In their Bayside Brisbane backyard, the family Labrador's not the only one benefiting from a bounty.
I bought about 100 tennis balls from my local tennis club before this all started. Probably taped about 30, 40 balls up. If I get that itch to hit some balls, at least it gives me something to sort of do.
That itch is chronic. We've known that since meeting Marnus Labuschagne out the back of the Marconi Club in late 2018.
As a cricketer, unfortunately, we play a very unsatisfying game where it doesn't matter how much success you have, you want more.
He should be back in county cricket now, where last year a run feast like few before it began.
Getting to play at Lords was amazing. My first Test 100 at the Gabba in front of my family and friends. I was able to get my first one-day 100 in Poch, where I grew up.
And a record 896-run 5-Test summer. Number 3 batsman in the world, Sachin Tendulkar's new favourite. Then coronavirus. Cricket's in financial crisis. Marnus should have been cashing in, but he'd probably play for free.
It's really hard to watch sort of things unfold and you know, obviously the loss of jobs and stuff like that.
He's a sport lover and watching NRL news closely.
If that kicks off, that'd be great, and I hope that's a really good success because that could really pave the way for the rest of the sport.
What a summer it could be. Labuschagne v Kohli, if we're lucky.
Whatever sort of cricket we're playing, that I'm ready for that and come out of this isolation period better, as a better player and as a better person.
Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
Supercars champion Scott McLaughlin had his own Stephen Bradbury moment in the final race of the virtual IndyCar series at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. All 4 drivers in front of McLaughlin crashed just metres from the finish line, handing the Kiwi victory.
I was literally just trying to, just hope there was a wreck at the end, and there was 2. I did the Stephen Bradbury, mate. So everyone crashed, and that's what happened.
McLaughlin was supposed to make his real IndyCar debut at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway later this month. Well, he's quite literally the biggest star on television with muscles to match. Hafthor Bjornsson, the Icelandic strongman known as the Mountain in hit series Game of Thrones, has set a new deadlift world record, an eye-popping 501 kilos.
It's just historic. I'm proud of myself.
Well, for some perspective, 500 kilos is roughly the same as lifting a grand piano or a horse. Not too bad at all. Looks easy, doesn't it?
He was a bad man in that game.
He was very bad. Let's not think about that, though.
Looks nicer there.
It's traumatic, yeah.
Thank you. Getting takeaway food is no longer limited to the local pizza place. Some of our best-known restaurants and chefs are now offering their wares direct to your home. No reservation required.
Right across Australia, the hospitality industry has been crippled. Venues closed, thousands of staff unemployed. And celebrity chef Matt Moran, owner of some of Sydney's most high-profile restaurants, wasn't immune.
It was just heart-wrenching to think that, God, you can go from such an empire to all of a sudden everything being closed down.
Like so many, he's had to change his business model.
Who would have ever thought that we would do takeaway from Chiswick?
Offering some of his signature dishes, pre-packed and ready to cook at home.
So you've got the roast chicken, you've got the famous lamb shoulder,
keeping his staff in the kitchen and, importantly, a job.
Now, I've got most of my head chefs from other venues in here also.
And for Mother's Day, well, you can't bring your mum to a restaurant, but you can always bring the restaurant to your mum.
We're normally massively busy at the grounds for Mother's Day. We offer a high tea, we offer roasts and things like that, so we're offering that now for home delivery.
Another business meeting the challenge of ever-changing restrictions.
We're sort of reacting to what people are wanting and what people are trying to access within the regulations.
At Manny's Diner, their chefs are going from the kitchen to the curb.
We're training them to cook and drive, and that way we can cover all bases.
Keeping their meals on wheels. Samantha Brett, 7 News.
Sally is back now. Sal, the cold weather is on the way out.
It sure is, Mark. Things are set to warm up this week with summer-like temperatures forecast. The 7-day forecast is next.
They're the dream family.
We live in our house with our 3 kids.
About to set foot in their dream home.
All right, should we go in, guys?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Oh,
The family-sized whole house reveal. Wait till you see what they're seeing. The heartwarming transformation.
You okay?
It's so beautiful.
The reveals coming up next on 7.
Get smart protection for your connected devices at home with Trend Micro Home Network Security at Harvey Norman. Quick and easy to set up, it puts full control at your fingertips. Secure your network and every internet-connected device, like smart TVs, gaming consoles and computers, from online threats. Plus, it includes strong parental controls. Keep the internet safe for your kids on any device and even set time limits for gaming or internet use. Trend Micro Home Network Security, the complete security solution for your connected devices at home. Available now at Harvey Norman.
When life gives you dirtiness, Godfrey's gives you cleanliness. With products to keep every surface free from spills, dirt and allergens. For a clean and healthy home, Godfrey's Cleanliness.
Wish you had internet that didn't let you down? That doesn't leave you hanging? And won't have you missing any of the action? Get Vodafone NBN with 4G backup. Plans start from just $65 a month. And with free express delivery, connect instantly once you receive it. Buy online today at vodafone.com.au. Ready?
We remain dedicated to helping Australians. We've introduced a help program with a range of relief options to assist customers currently in need. Call us to find out how we can tailor help options for you.
With more than 20% protein for muscle development, Nutri-Grain is one of the highest protein cereals.
I want you on my side.
Be greedy, be hungry.
He's not capable of alliance.
I am a monster.
The brand new season of Billions, now streaming only on Stan.
The Australian Government is supporting individuals and households during the coronavirus crisis. We've introduced the $550 coronavirus supplement, doubling income support for many. It means those on the job seeker payment could receive up to $1,100 a fortnight. We're also providing 2 $750 payments to veterans, pensioners and other households receiving income support. These automatic payments will support up to 5 million Australian households. To find out more, visit australia.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Look after your health online at health365.com.au with over 700 of your favourite Australian-owned health, vitamin and skincare products online, home delivered fast. Buy smart, buy Australian. Online at health365.com.au.
Tonight's 7 News headlines: staff at Newmarch House will be tested daily from tomorrow after the aged care home's death toll rises to 14. Revelations a crew member was put into an induced coma on board the Ruby Princess just days after passengers disembarked. Police discovered a mother's body in her Woodcroft garage. Her husband has been charged with murder. And the Warriors are spending their first night in Tamworth before beginning training in isolation. Now, with the latest on Sydney's weather, here's Sally.
Thanks for that, Mark. Well, it was a sunny day across the city and things are set to warm up this week with a burst of hot weather on the way. Today, though, we reached a top of 20.4 degrees after a low of 11 degrees just before 6 o'clock this morning. Across Sydney suburbs, we saw light winds and tops of 20 degrees at Bankstown, 13 degrees at Katoomba, fairly mild along the coast. Looking to the skies, though, and that complex low that delivered all that wintry weather is also just sending some pretty decent-sized swell right up the New South Wales coast, and we are being warned of dangerous surf conditions for Sydney's beaches tomorrow. Apart from that, though, a high is keeping skies pretty clear across the state at the moment, although onshore winds into tomorrow might just push the odd isolated shower or two along our shorelines, particularly in the northeastern corner. Around the capital cities for tomorrow, warm and sunny is the story for Brisbane. Dropping to 0 tonight in Canberra, 16 degrees tomorrow. It'll be cool in Melbourne, 15 degrees the top, 16 degrees in Hobart. Touch of cloud in Adelaide, but otherwise dry, 18 degrees there. And a cold front will arrive into the southwestern corner of WA with showers and storms for Perth and a top of 23 degrees. Across New South Wales tomorrow, clear skies are mostly the story. Tops of 18 degrees expected at Wollongong, 21 degrees at Port Macquarie and 19 degrees out the back of Bourke. A closer look at Sydney's suburbs. It will be cooler along the coast thanks to those southwesterly winds. 18 degrees at Bondi. We might just wake up to a touch of fog in our western suburbs tomorrow. It'll burn off fairly quickly though, heading for tops of 20 degrees at Liverpool. Rough conditions are forecast on the water. We can expect swell to surge up to 4 metres for tomorrow, and we do have that warning for dangerous surf conditions. The city will drop down to 11 degrees tonight, warming up to 20 degrees though tomorrow with sunny skies expected. Having a look now at the 7-day forecast for Sydney, we might just see a light shower or two on Tuesday, around 3 millimetres for the coast. It won't reach our western suburbs though. Mostly sunny on Wednesday, warming up to 25 degrees on Thursday. Then things will take a very summery turn on Friday, heading for 27 in the city, 28 degrees in the west, and it looks like it'll stay warm into the start of the weekend too, cooling up to 19 degrees on Sunday. Just when we thought we'd seen the last of the warm weather, Mark, we've got some more of it on the way.
A nice week on the way. Good on yourself, thank you. That is 7 News for this Sunday. We'll have updates for you throughout the evening. I'm Mark Ferguson from all the team. I hope you have a great night.
Just got paid.